Wednesday morning, Jeremy was the first one to the shop. He wanted to get an early start, pulling the front brakes off the C10, and I needed him to get the rear drums off the back so that I could take the drums to Mosier and have them re-drilled for the 5-lug bolt pattern. The kit that I bought from Speedway basically just replaces the front drum brakes with G-body or S10 front disc brakes and calipers. The kit includes special brackets that bolt to the original drum brake spindles to mount the S10 calipers. It honestly takes more time to clean up the original spindles and parts than it does to make the conversion. It's pretty straightforward and simple, and Jeremy knocks it out pretty quick. I hung around just long enough to see what the wheels look like on the front of the truck and see how the paint matches. And really, it looks pretty good. After that, I hit the road. Me and June Pup took off to head over to Indiana, right on the Ohio state line, to Mosier Engineering. They've got a brand new set of axles made for me that convert the 12-bolt rear end from 6-lug to 5, and they're going to drill out my brake drums for the correct bolt pattern. As me and June Pup are making our way over to the state line, Kenny Powers is on his way on 70, headed west towards our house. When he got to the shop, he started helping Jeremy work on removing the factory cross member that's riveted into the frame, and Harley got started on orders and answering emails. She's just about shipped everything out that I've got to ship out. I was hustling trying to make my way through the fog to get to Mosier before they closed. They closed at 2 o'clock, and I needed to get those brake drums in well ahead of that. I made it there just in time, dropped the brake drums off back of the shop, and then me and June Pup went in to check out the showroom. They had my axles waiting for me back at the shop, and it didn't take them very long to drill out my brake drums. Once they knocked that stuff out, June Pup and I headed back towards Ohio, and Jeremy was busy in the shop trying to extract this one broken off bolt out of the rear end housing that holds the rear end cover on. He welded a bolt to it to get it out. He was trying to make sure that when I got back with the rear axles, that the rear end housing was ready to put the cover on and fill with gear oil. After he got done with that, he went back to working on getting that cross member out. They have to grind the heads off the rivets first, and then knock the rivets out with an air hammer. It took a little while to get that done, but he managed to get it out about the time I pulled in the driveway. I was so excited to put these axles in and look at the truck sitting on these new tires until we went to slide the axles in and figured out that the axles are 30 spline and the carrier's only 28. So rather than making a 2.5-hour drive back to Mosier, I decided just to call Jegs and get a new carrier that's 30 spline, which turns out to be a pretty good idea because the carrier, the bearings, and the ring and pinion were in pretty bad shape. Anyway, we slide the axles and the brake drums in to check it out, and it looks pretty good. I can't wait for the new center caps to come in. Hopefully they get here this week. After we got done working in the shop for the day, I went out back to check on the creek, and wouldn't you know, my culverts are plugged again. I took the excavator back there and cleared the end of the culvert to let the water go down faster. By morning, this water should all be gone. I've got good drainage out there in the middle of that RC track, if it ever quits raining. Well, it did. It quit raining and started snowing the next morning. It went from like 50-some degrees, 56 degrees, down into the teens overnight, and as I pulled out of the driveway to go to Jegs, it's snowing like crazy. 5 minutes later, it's blue skies and sunny. Anyway, today's trip to Jegs is for a 373 ring and pinion, a 4 Series posi unit, an installation kit, and a handful of other little things that I needed, and luckily, they had everything in stock. Mr. Dan, you are knocking it out of the park today, my good man.
Well, thank you.
Dan even hooked me up with this cross member kit that I didn't even know they made, which is a good thing because when I got back to the shop, Jeremy and Kenny are getting ready to put that 700 R4 up in the truck, and the very first thing they're going to need once it's up in there is a cross member. I made it back just in time to watch Jeremy install a converter in the front pump of the transmission. He turned it about a turn and a half, and it slid right back into the pump. Kenny had already cut the ears off the 700 R4 just to make it easier to take the transmission in and out in the future if it ends up with headers. Jeremy and Kenny rolled the transmission up underneath the truck and had the bell housing bolts installed in about 5 minutes. Literally the easiest transmission installation we've ever done at our shop. Once Jeremy had the bell housing bolts in, Kenny put the converter bolts in and slid some 2x4s up underneath the tail housing to hold the transmission up and mock up the new TransDAP crossmember. It fit like a glove. Big shout out to Dan, the salesman at Jegs, that hooked me up with that crossmember. Here's the part number if anybody ever needs it. Once we had that taken care of, I marked the drive shaft where the new seal position should be, and Vicki brought in Cane's chicken for everybody for lunch. Bless her heart, she's off on Fridays, and she's found a new tradition to start. Taking care of everybody as usual. Anyway, after we got done eating lunch, I took the drive shaft down to Super Duty in Newark and dropped it off to have it shortened. We took some measurements, found the proper yoke, and he took down my name and number to call me as soon as it gets done. I should have it back tomorrow. While I'm working on that, Kenny and Jeremy are back at the shop finishing up the crossmember. They drilled the holes in the frame, put the bolts in, double-checked everything, and then welded the ends of the crossmember together with the main section. And it came out so nice. It fits like a glove. But the next thing we've got to contend with is the fact that we don't have a shifter. So Jeremy begins the process of modifying the 3-speed column shifter linkage to shift the automatic, while Kenny puts on the exhaust manifolds and I work on installing the carburetor. I told Jeremy if he couldn't get that linkage to work, I would just go get a low car kit and adapt it over to a cable, but he would hear nothing of it. He wants to fix it his way. And I'll be damned if he didn't.
Everybody wants to be a hot rodder until it's time to do hot rod and shit.
All right, everybody, welcome back. So we have made a lot of progress on this truck in the last 2 days. Huge shout out to Jeremy and Kenny. These two work together really, really well. They're very efficient. They get a lot of work done. They never stop moving. And I don't have to sit here and babysit them. I mean, they really get after it. So I'm very, very thankful to have those two on my team here working for me in the shop because, oh my gosh, they knock out a lot of work really, really fast and they do a good job. So as you saw in the video, we've got the front disc brake kit put on. It was a very straightforward, fairly simple process. Jeremy managed to knock that disc brake kit out pretty quick. Seems to be pretty decent stuff, so we'll see how that goes. We also managed to get the power brake booster and the master cylinder installed today at the end of the day. And Jeremy thought maybe that was going to be a nightmare, but it turns out it literally just bolted right on. The most difficult part was climbing underneath the dash and getting the push rod attached to the pedal. But outside of that, it was very straightforward. It bolted right to the firewall. No trouble. Also, I decided to just go ahead and use exhaust manifolds rather than the headers. Obviously, for a daily driver, we don't need headers and header leaks and all that. But the other thing is the frame clearance to the block is pretty tight in these trucks. I wasn't sure if the headers were going to fit or not, but after looking at the shift linkage, I was fairly certain that the header wasn't going to work out very well with the column shift lever going down to actuate the automatic. So I made an executive decision there pretty fast just to go ahead and use the ram horn manifolds that Mark got me down at A1. And those are going to be fine. This is just a stock 350. It's got stock cam, stock heads for now. And, you know, we just want it to be quiet, smooth, and reliable without any maintenance issues. So I think the manifolds are going to be just fine. The ram horn manifolds flow better than any other exhaust manifold that I'm aware of anyway. So that's what we decided to do there. And then obviously, I think we're going to take it to Lucor to have exhaust system put on it. But I'm not sure whether we're going to go inside the frame yet or whether we're going to go outside the frame. It's pretty common to do them either way. If you do the exhaust system inside the frame, we're probably going to have to cut holes in the cross member back here where the trailing arms attach to run the exhaust through that cross member. So that's something we got to look into yet. We haven't decided yet what we're going to do there. Another small item on my list is that this truck uses a mechanical throttle linkage, and I have no issue with mechanical throttle linkage. However, it's very difficult to make a mechanical throttle linkage work with a low profile air filter or one like this 14-inch. I went ahead and bought this throttle cable bracket today, mainly because I needed it to hold the TV cable bracket to operate the throttle valve cable, TV cable for the 700R4. But I have quickly realized that although it will work just fine for that, I think it's going to be almost impossible to make this stock mechanical linkage clear the bracket. So I'm going to go to Jegs and see if I can't get some sort of a throttle cable kit and adapt this thing over from mechanical linkage to a flexible throttle cable, like a late model vehicle. So because it's very important that TV cable be hooked up and working properly. So I can't not hook that up. That has to be hooked up. So in other news, I'm really excited about this rear wheel and tire package. I was so worried these things weren't going to fit, but it turns out they fit perfect. This is a 15 by 10 with a 4.5-inch backspace wheel with a 275 60-15 radial tire. And they definitely fill up the wheel well, and they definitely fill up the wheel tub, I can tell you that. They look fantastic on here, and I can't wait to see what these things look like with brand new stock hubcaps on them. I did not buy the 64 model year replacement hubcaps. I think I bought them for a 55 through 57 Chevy pickup because I think that those center caps were a lot nicer, cleaner looking center cap. So hopefully those get here soon. I bought those on eBay and I'm still waiting on them. They haven't arrived yet. I think they got hijacked in some bad weather, but hopefully they're here before long. Big shout out to Dan at Jegs today, my salesman there that helped me get my parts. He offered me some advice on a cross member, and man, I'm telling you what, that thing fit in there like it was made to go in that truck with that transmission. I can't be happier with the way that turned out. Dan, thank you, because had he not thought about that, when I asked him if he might have something I could make a cross member out of, we were probably going to go digging through a scrap pile. In fact, I think Jeremy already had a load of scrap metal tubing in the bed of his Chevy truck this morning when he got here, and he was fully prepared to hand fabricate something. But Dan, that cross member saved us so much time and aggravation. Thank you, man. That thing worked out really nice, and I highly suggest anybody that needs a cross member, man, that kit is super nice. Super nice. Really happy with the way that turned out. So what's left to do? Well, we still need a fan. We need an upper radiator hose. The radiator hose that I had here didn't work out. Kenny's going to take that back to Mark in the morning and see if Mark can come up with something a little bit better than what we had. We still need to run exhaust on it, of course. That'll be the last thing we do. I think Jeremy in the morning is planning on coming down here and grabbing the new posi unit, the bearings and races, and he's going to take all that stuff up to the farm and press the new bearings on the carrier. And he may end up working on that a little bit tomorrow. Tomorrow, Jamie, my buddy from down in Kentucky, who helped us build onto the back of the barn, is going to be here at noon tomorrow to discuss future plans for building a new shop out back. Now, the new shop out back is mostly going to be for storage when we first get it up. I think that we are going to outgrow our merchandise area, our shipping and receiving area, very quickly. In fact, based on the number of orders that we're getting in already, we're pretty much outgrown it already. I did not anticipate people would support the merchandise sales anywhere near what they have. I had no idea. I never wanted to do merchandise. I never wanted to do any of this, honestly. But in order to keep everybody working, I wanted to make sure the kids had something to do, and wanted to take care of Kenny and Harley because they've worked very hard to help our family in the past. And I wanted to make sure we were able to take care of them and pay them a good wage. And so that's why I did what I did. And Gina really talked me into doing it because I was dead set against it. But she was right. She was right. It was definitely a good thing to do. It was definitely the right thing to do. And I think moving forward in the future, there's going to be a lot of really neat stuff coming available to everybody who would like to support the channel and wear the merchandise because, you know, I don't want this channel to be about me. I don't really want this channel to be about me at all. Never wanted it to be about me. This was supposed to be originally a behind-the-scenes channel focusing on other people. And so things have changed, and that's fine, probably for the better. And going forward, you know, I know I catch a lot of heck and flack in the comments because I'm not doing anything. Yeah, well, that's actually kind of a compliment, to be honest with you, and I'll tell you why. Because if people think I'm not doing anything, then that means the videos are flowing very naturally. It's almost like people forget there's someone behind the camera, there's someone editing, there's someone picking the music, there's someone putting this all together and uploading it. It's like it just happens. And if that's the case, if it's that natural and it feels that natural that I'm not doing anything, then I'm probably doing a better job than maybe what I give myself credit for, because it is a lot of work and it's not easy. If it were easy, there would be a lot of people with YouTube channels that hit over 90,000 subscribers in a year. And in reality, I don't think that's very common, especially for somebody like me who is maybe not the most handsome person, right? Not using clickbait or girls or anything like that to get views. I don't think anybody thought this was possible, especially me, but I'm very appreciative. I'm very thankful. My family is very, very thankful. It's going to do a lot of really nice things, not only for my family and me and Vicki, but for a lot of other families. There's other people that I tend to help out here and there, and I want to continue to do that, and maybe even more so. And I want to do good things for the community. There's a lot of things coming, guys. I can't get into it right now, but there's a lot of really, really cool things that are in the works that I think is going to touch a lot of people. And I think this channel is going to do very well. It's already doing very well, but I think it's going to be, I think it has the potential to be a very large YouTube channel in the future, especially with some of the things that I want to do. And in all honesty, there's nobody holding me back to do what I want to do. So the sky's the limit. As long as I'm still sucking air and my lungs are still working and my heart's still beating, I'm still above ground, I should be okay. So hang with us, folks. Be patient if you've ordered merchandise. Be patient. Please be patient. And I was very upfront with everybody to tell everybody that there's going to be a little delay. And that was under the circumstances that we would get what I figured we would get for sales, and it went far, far above what I anticipated. So the girls are working nonstop down in Kentucky printing shirts. The girls up here are working nonstop shipping the stuff out. They've just about cleaned me out. I brought 41 boxes or 40 boxes of merchandise here, and almost all of it's gone already. So if that tells you anything about how hard the kids are working and Vicki, and it's been incredible. But we're waiting on another shipment of merchandise to come in. Gina's going to ship this next order, And then the order after that, I may go back down there to Kentucky and haul the next one home because it's going to be pretty big. So hang in there, folks. Be patient, please. Thank you all for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. It all helps. See you tomorrow.